So this will be item builds for Razor in the safe lane and the mid lane. So when you're playing safe lane Razor, there are multiple different starting items you can do. You can buy like a windlace or boots and then some regen if you want. You can also buy like branches or circlets if you just want some more stats. You can start with a Wraith Band too if you want with a Tango, but then you're probably going to lack a lot of regen. But in general, what I do is I buy a Tango, a Salve, 3 branches, a circlet, and then I put a Clarity in my backpack. You can buy boots from the side shop. You cannot buy a windlace though, which is kind of a shame if you want to buy one. So if you do want a windlace, you can start with it, but I normally just skip it or buy it later anyways. The Clarity in your backpack can be nice if you're using a lot of mana. You can just pop your Clarity in, use it, and then pop back in whatever you replaced it with. And with a Tango and a Salve, and then 3 branches that you can choose to eat as well, you're going to have enough regen, but normally you're going to rush Wand anyways, so 2 of those branches will be put into that. You can almost always just eat your last branch if you need extra regen. Almost every game on safe lane Razor, you're going to want to get a magic stick or a wand, depending on your starting items, and then brown boots. But after that, depending on how your lane's going, will depend on your next item choices. If you're in a pretty contested lane but still have kill potential with supports, phase boots are probably what you're going to want to get first. But if your lane's pretty free, you can just go Hand of Midas first if you want. Send out the recipe and then buy the Gloves of Haste from the side shop so you don't have any wasted time after you buy your Midas before you use it. If you're going Midas, you can buy Ring of Aquila after it, but if you're not going Midas, you're just going to want to buy Ring of Aquila after your phase boots. If you're in a pretty contested lane and you don't think you really have much kill potential, you can go for power treads as well, because with tread switching and a Ring of Aquila, you'll have a lot of mana, and it'll just provide you with more HP and attack speed as well. If you're not starting a windlace, but you feel like you need some more move speed, it can be a good purchase after the laning stage as well. But normally, if you're not starting with it, you probably want to get upgraded boots, your Midas, Ring of Aquila, or whatever before your windlace usually. Also keep in mind, if you're stealing a lot of damage, you can deny all of your creeps, and you'll get experience from denies now, which is really nice seeing as you have a lot more damage than the enemy most of the time, and you can just steal their damage anyways. So if you can get Midas Wand brown boots by like 9 minutes in the safe lane, if you're being pretty uncontested, it's probably a pretty good purchase. But if you don't think you can get a Midas that early, it's probably better to just go for boots and upgrade it. Midas can be really nice in Razor because you don't farm that fast, but you do scale pretty well late game. There's a lot of items you want on Razor, but there's not too many items you need. So like a Midas isn't going to make you that much weaker. You're already really strong early game. So you can get away with a Midas a lot of times if you have a free lane. Razor's already really strong early game, so if you have a Hand of Midas versus a Dragonlance or something, for example, you're basically as strong, like either or. So if you think you can afford going later and you're having a good enough start, the Midas can just be better a lot of the times. So when you're playing Razor mid, normally you're going to want to start with 2 pulled Tangos and a Wraith Band, and depending on if you're like playing a pub and you've lost gold or something, you can go with like 2 branches, just 1 branch if you don't have enough gold, or a branch and a Fairy Fire. In general though, I think 2 branches is best. You'll have less damage in the Fairy Fire, but you'll have more attack speed and more health, and you can also just eat the branches with your shared Tangos. With your Bounty Rune gold, you normally want to rush a Salve as well. Versus heroes like Bat, Zeus, Sky, or Storm or something, you can start with a stick or a wand and some branches and some stats if you want, or you can just rush those items if you feel like you don't need them that early. Also, sometimes you can catch up your enemy by starting with a Windlace or Boots mid, because you can just steal all of their damage with your move speed, but you'll have like a lot of less stats, so sometimes it's pretty risky. Razor mid is pretty similar to the Razor safe lane. You're going to want to rush Boots first though, instead of buying a wand or a magic stick, unless you're versus a hero with a lot of spam. But the reason you want the Boots first is because normally mid laners rush bottle. So if the enemy mid laner is rushing a bottle, and you buy boots which are cheaper than a bottle, you're going to have so much more move speed than him for quite a long time. And you can just steal all of his damage and just zone him out of the lane really easily. After you buy your boots on Razor mid, you can go bottle sometimes, but that's normally only if you need the HP regen. Because if you want mana regen, you can buy items like Ring of Aquila and Raindrops instead. And in combination, you'll just have a lot of mana regen from both of those items. Normally, you're just going to want phase boots mid, so you can just stomp your lane really hard and walk around the map faster and do more things. But if you have a really free lane mid, if you're winning just really hard, you can go Midas if you think you can get it pretty fast as well, similar to the safe lane. Because if you're playing Razor mid, you're not really the carry either, so buying a Midas might just make your early game too weak. It might just be too greedy from the mid lane on Razor. So when I started making this Razor course, it was before Razor was just being picked as an every game hero, and it was like specifically to counter heroes. But now, as Razor is just being picked more and more, a lot of people are just going with a phase boots rush, and then a Ring of Aquila, drums, SNY into BKB, because they just want to fight a lot. You're picking it as like an early game fighting hero, and just playing it really aggressively and just fighting a lot. So move speed is really nice for that, and like the strength and from the drums and SNY are just really nice for helping you fight a lot. And the build that I was doing before, and like a lot of people were doing before, when they were doing it like just as a counter pick before they realized how strong the hero actually was this patch. They were going like Midas, Boots of Travel, and then they would go like S and Y or a Hurricane Pike if you need instead of S and Y, and like BKB, AC, Refresher was the build that I was doing and a lot of people were doing as well. But yeah, now as the hero just becomes more popular as just like an every game kind of hero, you just sort of want to just fight with him. But the Midas Boots Travel build is still potentially really nice if you know you can take it late versus the enemies and you're specifically counterpicking certain heroes. And also, as Razor becomes more popular, I sort of realized that I kind of like doing this instead. Like if you want to play a little more greedy style, you can go like Midas Drums Boots of Travel instead of just Midas Boots of Travel, because Midas Boots of Travel together are really greedy, and it's a lot of gold that doesn't do too much. But if you just go Drums before your Boots of Travel, then you'll be much better at fighting early game as well. So when you're going Midas, normally you want Boots of Travel after, then you can go S and Y. If you need a Pike, you can skip S and Y and just go Hurricane Pike first as like a Clockwork or a Ricky. Then you want a BKB usually, an Assault Cuirass. Yeah, but in general, lately people have just been going for Phase Boots, Aquila, Drums, S and Y, BKB. And then you can buy a Refresher Orb, which is very nice. Refresher can be really nice with BKB on Razor. It gives you 2 of your Static Links, 2 of your Plasma Fields, and 2 of your Eye of the Storms. So yeah, since you have 3 active abilities, Refresher can be really nice, and it also works with items as well. So if you have a BKB, 10 seconds of magic immunity, like it's just that you have the lowest level BKB, so 5-second BKB, and you can have 2 of those in a fight, so 10 seconds of magic immunity can be really nice on a hero like Razor as well, who's just running around trying to steal people's damage and just like sort of survive. And also if you have an Aghanims as well, Refresher can be really nice with that. 2 Aghanims ults just melts towers extremely fast, but you don't need an Aghanims specifically to go Refresher and Razor. Refresher late game on Razor can be extremely good no matter what. So for situational items, we have Shiva's Guard. A lot of people go Shivas and a lot of people go AC on Razor. I normally like AC more, it just makes pushing towers become easier. But Shivas can also be nice. It sort of synergizes with your Plasma Field and the fact that you're sort of just trying to annoy like the enemy safe lane hero usually and just static link him, and like making him just attack slower and stuff can be really nice, and slowing him can be really nice. And with your Plasma Field as well, slowing them makes it easier so you can get max damage out of that as well. And it's just like 2 big radius magic damage nukes that you can have with the Shivas and Plasma Field. Also, a lot of times when you're playing Razor, your mid laner might just be like a TA or an SF, and occasionally they would like going AC. It might just be some building hitter, and if you're playing mid Razor, you might have some safe laner like a Sven, or some other hero that might just want an AC to help him push buildings anyways. So you can just go for Shivas instead if you already have an AC on your team. But yeah, a lot of times I personally like AC better. Manta can also be a good alternative to S and Y if you need the Dispel versus like a Tinker to tank damage from spells like Omni Slash. Halberd can be nice on Razor if you just have like some Sven or some Lifestealer on the enemy team who you can think you can use it on them before they use a BKB or something. It could also be really nice versus range heroes as well, since it also lasts longer. So if they have like an OD or something and you think you can get close enough that you can cast it on him, it could just be really annoying for them. Mjolnir can be nice on Razor late game if you need attack speed or some AoE to clear creeps or clear illusions. Scotty and Heart can also be pretty good if you need to slow or kite enemies. Scotty can be nice. The HP is really nice, and then Heart as well gives a lot of HP as well. If your team is really not comfortable taking it late game, you can go items like Blade Mail or Hood or Pipe and just sort of 5-man around. Like multiple Blade Mails can be really good versus heroes like Tinker, and multiple Pipes or Hoods can be very good versus heroes like Tinker as well. Shadowblade and Silver Edge aren't that good. You can Shadowblade after static linking someone and follow them around really fast and just steal their damage, but a lot of the times you're going to want to be auto-attacking them while stealing their damage and stuff too, or just staying really close to them. So sure, if you're Shadowbladed, you can't get stunned by like a single target stun, and you can chase them around, but it's usually not that helpful. I guess sometimes versus passives, a Silver Edge could be nice or needed as well. I guess I would go versus heroes like Spectre, because Dispersion is just a really annoying spell that is really hard to deal with late game, so you're normally going to need a Silver Edge versus them anyways. But normally if someone else is going Silver Edge to deal with a passive, you probably don't want one on Razor. If you need to silence versus a hero like Storm or something late game, a Bloodthorn can be really nice, because you can also crit off of all the damage you're stealing from your static link as well. And a silence and the mana regen is just... Bloodthorn just offers a lot, so it can be a good item too if you think you need it. MKB can be a nice situational item as well if you need to deal with a lot of evasion like a PA or something. I think Butterfly can be nice too if they don't have that many right clickers, because you're just going to get so much value if they have no MKB buyers. If their cores are like a Tinker and a Timbersaw, you might say, oh, I don't really want a Butterfly because they don't have any right click damage. But if you have a Butterfly versus heroes like that, you're never ever going to die to right clicks. So I think it can be very nice in games like that. Or if they do have a core based around right clicking that doesn't really like buying MKB, it can be really nice too. A hero like that would be OD. So you can buy a Butterfly versus him. Also, if you're versus Doom or something, you can buy Lincoln's as well. Just try to block his ult, or make it very annoying for him to cast that on you in fights. But in general, you don't really mind even being doomed as long as you've cast everything before it. So Lincoln's usually isn't that good. So normally on Razor, you're buying like similar items most games, but for your like last item slot, kind of after you have a Boots of Travel, S&Y, like a BKB, AC, or Refresher, or whatever, you can buy like a Butterfly, Shiva's, a Heart, or a Scotty. Normally you just want like more HP at that point in the game. But if you need like a specific item to counter a hero, like a Silver Edge or a Bloodthorn can be nice as well, or an MKB. So when you're playing Razor, you're going to want like your Phase Boots and your Aquila around like 8 minutes, and then you're going to want your Drums from like 10 to 14 minutes, S&Y from like 17 to 22 minutes, or a BKB from like 22 to 28 minutes. If you're playing Razor as a direct counter to a hero though, and you want to do like a Greedier build, and you're going like the Midas Boots of Travel build, you can have your Midas, your Boots, and your Wand around like 8 minutes, Aquila, Boots of Travel by like 12 to 16, S&Y from like 18 to 24. If you're going Pike instead of S&Y, because you need to counter a Clockwork or something, you can go Pike and you can have it around like 20 to 26 minutes. Then a BKB, depending on what you went before that, could be like 22 to 28 minutes. And if you feel like you need a Drums to just fight earlier, just go that before your Boots of Travel, and it'll delay your items by like 4 to 6 minutes maybe. In general, on Razor, you just want to buy HP and mobility items. You want to be really fast and really tanky, just running around, stealing damage, casting spells, doing as much damage as possible while not dying. Since you have Static Link, you have a lot of damage and stuff anyways, so you really don't need to buy damage items like Daedalus or Monkey King Bar or things like that usually. That was item builds for Razor. Thanks for watching, comment below.